si Twila, Amos, Wako, si Dungumuliro, Eugene Amos Rayadon, for the deep love I have of my people of Busia, and for them having voted me to come to the Senate. I vote yes.
Wambua Enoch Kio.
Observe social distancing. Observe social distancing, please.
I, Enoch Kio Wambua, for and on behalf of the great people of Kitui County, and for the unity of this country, I vote no.
Wario Golich Juma.
Aye. Mr. Speaker, sir, I, Golish Juma Wario, son of herdsman, representing the great people of Tana River County, vote no.
Wetangula Moses Masika. Wetangula Moses Masika.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Order. Senator Orengo and Bogisho.
Senator Pogisho Samuel Losuron.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the people of West Pokot and on behalf of the Kenyan people, I vote yes.
Senator Orengo James.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Order. Take your seats. Order, take your seats. Order. Senators, take your seats. Take your seats. Take your seats. Okay, take your seats, honorable senators. Order, senators. The results of the voting are as follows. Yes. Abstentions, 0. Yes. The noes, 25. Yes. The ayes, 22. So which means the noes have it. Therefore, we will resume the debate on the main motion. Wait. Once I'm making that announcement, knowing that there are amendments that have been suggested by 3 members, so the amendments will then be moved by one of them because they are similar. So, but we are going back to the original debate first. Okay, let's proceed. Senator Sakaja.
Relax, members. Mr. Speaker, before I move, he'll withdraw. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the amendment. I'm just opening it. And I want to persuade my colleagues, Senator Mutula, Kilonzo Jr., as well as Senator Ledama, to withdraw their amendments. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following amendment, that the motion be amended by deleting the full stop at the end and inserting the following words. Subject to the deletion of recommendation appearing as paragraph 26 of the report, and substituting it therefore, the following new recommendation. 26, the Senate resolves that pursuant to Article 217 of the Constitution, the third basis for sharing revenue among counties for the financial year 2020-2021 to 2024-2025 be as indicated in the order paper. And Mr. Speaker, I'll just mention 2 components of it, because the amendment is pretty straightforward. Mr. Speaker, the import of the amendment is that because in the previous financial year and in this current financial year, the amount of equitable share going to the counties has remained at 316.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, everybody who spoke, including Senator Kangata, the leader of majority, the leader of minority earlier, held that when they were pushing the earlier amendment, they held that the basic principle that we all agree upon as a Senate is that no county should lose a shilling of its allocation. And Mr. Speaker, the formula then kicks in once we've devolved enough money to go to the counties, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker,
Senators who are standing, please find where to sit, because it's you are.
So, Mr. Speaker, The formula is that for any amount of 316.5 billion and below, the allocations shall be as per the 2019-2020 allocations to counties, and that doesn't change. If your county had 8 billion, you'll have a minimum of 8 billion. If your county had 10 billion, you'll have a minimum of 10 billion. Any amount above that, Mr. Speaker, will then be applied based on the formula. Mr. Speaker, the reason for doing this, because we've had to think as Kenyans. We've had to make very painful decisions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm the senator for Nairobi. And in the previous proposal by the committee, Nairobi was going to gain 100 million, which is 0.6% of our allocation. 100 million in Nairobi is not the same as 100 million in Garissa or Turkana or Wajir, or even Tharaka Nithi, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, what would it benefit the people of Nairobi? And many of the 4.3 million people I represent also come from other counties. For us to gain 0.6% and have our colleagues lose 30% of their budget, 25% of their budget, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it will not be right, it will not be patriotic. Devolution is about this country. The Building Bridges initiative, and I speak this because I know where the heart of the president is. Yes. I know where the heart of the former prime minister is. We cannot have cohesion without equalization of opportunities. Yes. Mr. Speaker, a child in Mandera must have the same shot at life as a child in Makueni. Yes. There is no Kenya A and Kenya B. And the notion that we've been having, Mr. Speaker, over the past few weeks, that there are certain parts of the country that have been giving to other parts of the country is a fallacy, and I am going to demonstrate it, Mr. Speaker. I am going to demonstrate it. Because, Mr. Speaker, we all belong to this country. One indivisible nation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I go a bit to the formula which came, and I want to make it clear, because Kenyans must know and we must debunk some of the myths that have been peddled. Number one, there was no CRA proposal before the House today. Yes. It was not the CRA formula. Yes. It was a formula originally CRA amended by the committee. So no one has rejected the CRA formula. Number two, Mr. Speaker, and on this I need to be very clear and I will demonstrate. 1 man, 1 shilling, as a principle, the biggest beneficiary would be Nairobi. But there is no single proposal that has been brought to this House that is 1 man, 1 shilling. Mr. Speaker, if it was 1 man, 1 shilling, Nairobi should be getting 29.8 billion. 29.8 billion. And we're only getting 15. Mr. Speaker, urban poverty many times burns more than rural poverty. The people in Mathare, the people in Kibera, if you do not have money, Mr. Speaker, you cannot get a place to stay, you will not get food. So this notion that people are being told that there is a 1 man, 1 shilling formula is not true. And I'll demonstrate further, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a county like Kirinyaga, because 1 man, 1 shilling means that the population of your county divided by the population of the country multiplied by 316.5 billion. A county like Kirinyaga, because people have been peddling a rumor that there are certain parts that are being treated unfairly because of not having 1 man, 1 shilling. According to 1 man, 1 shilling, Kirinyaga, that has a population of 610,000 people, should be getting 4 billion. What did it get before, and in what I'm proposing, 5.3 billion and 4.2 billion, above 1 man, 1 shilling. Mr. Speaker, Laikipia County, with a population of 518,000, if it is 1 man, 1 shilling, Laikipia should be getting 3.4 billion. But what is Laikipia getting, Mr. Speaker? 4 billion in the first proposal and 5 billion in the second proposal. So do you want 1 man, 1 shilling to reduce Laikipia? To reduce Kirinyaga? Mr. Speaker, let me show you Nyeri County, because the senator is here. You have a population of 759,000 people. When you say 1 man, 1 shilling was going to support you, because you've been receiving, as Nyeri, 5 billion, or rather 5.4 billion, and the new proposal is 6 billion. That's what you're getting. If it's 1 man, 1 shilling, Senator Ephraim, you will receive 5 billion flat, a billion less. This notion, you know, we must demystify. If it is 1 man, 1 shilling, Kiambu should be getting 16 billion. They're getting 10. It is good for us to disabuse this notion because people are out there fighting us, saying that we do not support the agenda of the president. That is not true. That is conjecture and warped logic, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me give you the last example.
Point of order, Senator.
The last example, Mr. Speaker.
There is a point of order.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My point of order is whether the Senator for Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, is in order to offer the misleading explanation he's giving about the one man, one vote, one shilling concept. Because, Mr. Speaker, when that concept has been advanced by the people of Mount Kenya, and he has mentioned Kiambu, which I represent, it is a progressive agenda, Mr. Speaker. It's an agenda that we've picked as the starting point being now. And we have been very loud and clear, Mr. Speaker, that even as today, even if this formula was to pass the way it was, and Kiambu got the allocation it was going to get, being called a gainer, each person in Kiambu, as per capita allocation to each individual, Mr. Speaker, would have been 4,700 when there are counties still in the same formula, for example, like Tana River and Lamu, who will be receiving 21,000 shillings, others 19,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. So the Senator for Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, is out of order because he has not first understood the concept and the mission of the one man, one vote, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, let me just leave that because it's not about understanding the concept. Mr. Speaker, in the Republic of Kenya, I'm the first person to write on fiscal decentralization more than 10 years ago. I understand this formula very well. Yes. And the examples I'm giving are for illustrative purposes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, lastly, and I was going to give you a different county. Tharaka Nithi County, for instance, or even leave Tharaka Nithi. Let's go to, Siaya County. With 900,000 people, Senator Orengo's county, you're supposed, if it's one man, to get 6.6 billion, and you're at 6.7. So, Mr. Speaker, these discrepancies are there. In per capita, and the point I'm making is this. In the initial formula, Mr. Speaker, the highest per capita allocation was going to Lamu at 27,000, and the lowest Nairobi at 3,300, thereabout. Even in this formula, by the committee, the highest per capita was still 21,000 and 3,500. So the point is, if both formulas are not addressing one man, one shilling, if both formulas are not reducing the per capita discrepancy, why should you go with a formula that is hurting counties over here, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, that is political suicide for these members. And I gave an example. If tomorrow, Senator Cherargei or Senator Lelegwe goes to his county, having lost 200 million shillings, Mr. Speaker, 500 million shillings, Mr. Speaker, and the governor says, you know, in this budget, I wanted to give you people bursary of 500 million, but because it is not there, go and find it from your senator. What does it gain us to benefit 2% while he is losing all of that percentage, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I want to move on to part of the variables in that formula, which I found completely wrong. And allow me to talk about my county. Mr. Speaker, number one, when you talk about health, that the variable of health is measuring how many people visit hospitals. What do you do to the counties that don't have hospitals to be visited in the first place? Because that county will never ever rate anywhere on that health variable. So you cannot use the number of outpatient visits to measure who needs hospitals. You need to see how many hospitals exist in those counties per person, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you look at a variable like poverty index, and I've spoken about this repeatedly for the last 10 years, poverty index is a measure of darkness. World over, we've moved from poverty index and we use what we call human development index, which tells you the access to the actual facilities for which we are devolving funds, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in India, they even have something they call provincial GDP as a key variable to help some of the counties or the states, the provinces that are producing, to also be encouraged to produce more. So that is how we should have gone, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want the people of Nairobi to hear me very clearly. In the agriculture variable, Mr. Speaker, Nairobi has been given nothing because of the notion that there is no agriculture in Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, the allocation we've gotten is 40 million. In Nairobi, Westlands constituency. If you go to Dagoretti South constituency, Mr. Speaker, Udhiru, Rudhimitu, Mutuini, Waithaka, they do more agriculture than some counties combined. If you go to Njiru and Ruai in Kasarani constituency, if you go to Karen, Mr. Speaker, there is agriculture. This formula had such a myopic view of agriculture because agriculture is end-to-end. The biggest market for agriculture is Nairobi. But when you give us 40 million shillings, yet all the livestock from Northeastern is coming to Nairobi. All your foodstuffs are coming to Wakulima. We're talking about Kiamaiko market. We're talking about Dagoretti market, Mr. Speaker. Are you saying then that there is no agriculture going on in Nairobi? That is voodoo variables, Mr. Speaker. And you must never have a formula that advocates for such voodoo variables, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if we invest in storage in Nairobi as agriculture, it reduces, and there are studies that have been done, post-harvest losses across the country by 80%. We need to have a better view of what fiscal transfer is, Mr. Speaker, to counties. Mr. Speaker, Nairobi County does 15,000 extension service visits every year, and you're giving us 40 million shillings. So all in all, Mr. Speaker, a lot of those variables were not objective. We were not able as a Senate to go through how whoever came up with the statistics came up with them. And I believe the day I see the formula, the real one man, one shilling, because it has not been in this house, the day I see it and Nairobi is getting 30 billion, that is the one we'll support. But for now, Mr. Speaker, for the sake of this country, for the sake of this country, Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow any part of Kenya to be left behind, Mr. Speaker. We cannot allow any part of Kenya to feel less Kenyan than the other, Mr. Speaker. The narrative that certain parts were gaining are not, and that is why we're wearing the Kenyan ties today. Because you have said it's Team Kenya, Mr. Speaker. I would rather not get that 100 and defer my gratification to the end. Nairobi will get the 15 billion extra it deserves, but save 19, 20 other counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know the CBA negotiations. I'm the chairman of Labour Committee. Counties will have to start paying higher salaries for doctors, but you're reducing their money, Mr. Speaker. During COVID, Mr. Speaker, I know very well, and I've sat with the Parliamentary Budget Office, an office which you do not give enough credit. And they have told us, honestly, in the next financial year, it will be foolhardy to imagine that we will go above 316.5 billion. The money is not there. The revenue is not collected. And you know this false narrative that some counties get a lot of money. You give Nairobi 15.8 billion, Mr. Speaker. Our payroll in a year is 18 billion. It's more than the 15. In this past financial year, we've raised only 8 billion shillings. Operation and maintenance in Nairobi alone is close to 5 billion. So a county of 4.3 million people, 17 constituencies, 85 wards, has less than 5 billion for development, with the depth of the poverty in Nairobi. Until we get to a place where we're devolving 400 billion, 500 billion, nobody can say that any part of this country is getting money that it does not deserve. And that is devolution. That is a true BBI. That is a true position of our party leadership, Mr. Speaker. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, I wish to urge members. I want to urge colleagues. Because even in 3 years, in 2 years, when the money goes up, with 2/3 we can come back to this house and amend this formula. But for now, let us be our brother's keepers. Let us be our brother's keepers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's nothing. The Bible says, for what does it benefit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? What will it benefit you to gain 50 million for your county and lose the unity of this country, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, until we get to that level where everybody, and truly with costed functions, everybody talks about dividing the pie. That is what we're doing here today, Mr. Speaker. But no one is talking about how we bake a bigger pie for this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a commission of revenue allocation. We will soon need a commission of revenue generation in this country. Because, Mr. Speaker, we must start thinking of how to increase revenue, on-source revenue in counties. We must stop this issue of each governor having his own system, his own IT system, because that is where the corruption is. And as a Senate, we must make sure that the monies that we're giving to counties, Mr. Speaker, are utilized properly. Mr. Speaker. I heard people saying that governors in certain parts of the country are the ones stealing. That is an unfair assessment. Everybody is stealing across the country, and we need to condemn it in full. We cannot say that certain parts of the country is where theft is, and in our own backyards, there's theft. There's been theft in Nairobi. There's been theft. In fact, most of the impeachments have come from Central. There's been theft in Nyanza. There's been theft in the coast, Mr. Speaker. Let us remember we have one indivisible country, Mr. Speaker. I know members want to vote quickly because the mood in the House is palpable. In the words of Gideon, the die is cast. Alea iacta est. And I want to tell senators, please vote with your conscience. I want to assure members that this vote is not a vote against the government, because I support this government. I was the founding chairman. I was the founding chairman of TNA. Mr. Speaker, when the formula first came to this house, Senator Wetangula was in the other house. It was brought by the finance minister. The finance minister then was President Uhuru Kenyatta. The president was Mwai Kibaki. That first formula was brought, and I can tell you in his heart of hearts, the president supports devolution, and the president will never push an agenda that pits one part of Kenya against the other. So members here should stop. Members here should stop fear-mongering and telling us to Meitwa. We've been called. There's no such thing. He would have told me himself. This is in support of his agenda. Building bridges, uniting Kenya, from Habaswein to Vanga, from Turkana, Mr. Speaker, to Lamu, from Kisumu to Nyeri, one Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I move. And I ask Senator Ledama to second.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to second the motion to amend the committee report. Mr. Speaker, sir, for the following reasons. One, and I'll be very brief to the point, because the distinguished senator of Nairobi County has completely demystified the myth. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reason why I support this amendment is because of one. It is ill and it is illegal for a county like Turkana, which is over Marsabit, which is over 70,000 square kilometers, to be reduced into a square root of 266. And in that parameter alone, that county loses 1.5 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is evil. We must be our brother's keepers. When I came into this house, I said I'm proud to be in this house because this is indeed the House of Union. And if we're the House of Union, it will be wrong for one county to gain, yet
Let's consult the
people of
laws,
Turkana,
senators.
just on the land parameter alone, will lose 1.4 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, sir, the second reason why I support the amendment by Senator Sakaja is because of the way that the committee played around.
Let's consult in low tones.
In terms of
Observe social distancing,
for
please,
health.
senators. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, when you come and lie to the public that you have the CRA formula, and you are now playing around with figures, you amend it, and you raise it, and you give it a weight of 20%. You take, 3 counties take all the money. That is Kirinyaga, Kakamega, and Bungoma. Mr. Speaker, sir, it would have been a different story if we would have even stuck with the issue of CRA. And that is why you saw in this amendment, we focused, the weight that we gave was the 17% on health, because it was well reasoned, advised by the Abuja Declaration. Mr. Speaker, sir, the third point, which is the last point for me to allow members to vote, is on the issue of agriculture. The committee played with the weight, and they raised it to 12%. When they did that, they took away money from urban centers like Nairobi and Mombasa, which benefit from the urban parameter. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the unity of this nation, I want to see Narok County receiving 8 billion, which they received last year, for the next few years until the time that we can be able to generate more money. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to see the county of Kirinyaga getting what they got this year, which is the actual figure of 4.2 billion. I want to see the county of Lamu getting at a minimum the amount of money that they received this year, which was 2.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, Madam Speaker, sir, Article 203 of the Constitution is very clear. When we are dividing revenue, we must take certain factors into consideration. Our counties, the marginalized counties, have been marginalized for way too long. We cannot be the house that continues to kill devolution. We must stand with our people, all the way from Turkana to Rombo in Kajiado. So, Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, because I know the time is going on, I second.
Order, members. Order, members. You cannot tell me to put a question to something that has not been proposed. So let's do things in order. This is a house of order. Honorable senators, I now propose the question that the motion be amended as moved by Senator Sakaja and captured in the order paper. Senator Mwaura Isaac.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to oppose this motion by my very able and distinguished senator, who we were nominated together in the National Assembly, Senator Johnson Ada Sakaja. Madam Speaker, there has been a lot of contestations as to why we are debating this bill. And Madam Speaker, when you look at the history of this country, the making of Kenya as a nation was for extractive purposes by the colonialists. And indeed, they were able to expropriate a lot of resources to the Crown in London. Madam Speaker, upon independence, with the advent of KANU and KADU, there was actually a big debate about whether you should give monies at the center or to the Majimbo system. And Madam Speaker, it is on record that when Majimbo systems were told to generate their own resources, they were not able to do so. Julius Kambarage Nyerere is on record as having said that there is actually a big challenge of having only one center. Because if you make the mistake at the center, it affects the whole country. And so therefore, there is actually a clear case to justify why you should have many centers, hence the advent of our counties. But Madam Speaker, it is true that the sessional paper number 10 of 1965 may have abrogated and allocated resources to where the rail had passed. And indeed, the 2010 Constitution provided for counties. But Madam Speaker...
Honorable Senators, order. You are crowding the dispatch box, and I can see a point of order.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, I'm afraid that there is a technicality which is going to put us in an awkward position. We had asked the substantive speaker to make a ruling about the time. It's 10 minutes to 9 o'clock. And we are not going to postpone this one. We had better be arrested. The police had better be outside to arrest us. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, so the ruling we want from you.
Order, Senator Mutula.
Yes.
Why are you prescribing while you are on a point of order?
Yes, I'm just on a point of order.
You are on a point of order, but
Yes,
you cannot prescribe again to the speaker how you are going to be arrested.
Yes.
So we are saying
on a point of order.
You have made your point. You have made your point. I see another point of order from Senator Langat. Senator Langat.
Madam Speaker, I don't know why. Senator from, I don't know why my friend, Senator, he's Senator Kilonso Jr. I don't know why he's anticipating that we are going beyond time and therefore telling us actually that we should hurry everything. We want to ventilate on this thing, give us enough time so that we discuss and we want to know more about it. So, Madam Speaker, when it gets to the time whereby it's against the protocols of the health, we have no problem, we shall stop there and then continue later. Yes, we must follow the protocols. We must follow. We are risking the life of others. We are risking the lives of others.
Senator Wambua. Point of order from Senator Wambua.
Madam Speaker, the matter raised by Senator of Makueni on a point of order is an important matter, Madam Speaker. And what he was asking for was a determination as promised by the Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, the matter was brought up, and the question was that we needed to extend the time of sitting until such a time we complete this debate. And the Speaker was supposed to make a ruling on that matter, Madam Speaker.
Point of order from Senator Gerard Gay.
Madam Speaker, I think it is good to be honest. When the President issued protocols of COVID, no, you can't shout me down, Wewe. You can't shout me down. Can I speak? No, this is not a marketplace. This is not a marketplace. You cannot shout. It is very clear. Madam Speaker, Madam, we are leaders. Order. Speaking to me. Madam Speaker.
Senators. Order.
Madam Speaker.
Order, senators. Please take your seats. Order, senators. Surely we are a house of order. He has requested me to make a ruling, but I've seen 6 points of order. So I'm allowing you, Senator Mutula. Senator Mutula, you cannot say we make a ruling on yours when other members have a right also. So let's allow other members to make their points of order. I can promise you. Order members. I want to promise you that I'm going to make a ruling. Senator Gerard Gay, can we listen to one another, please? Honorable senators, allow Gerard Gay to speak, and let's allow each one of us to speak.
Yes.
I'll make the ruling. Yes.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker, we have agreed that COVID-19 is a serious pandemic. The President issued protocols. He said he was very emphatic that the curfew time is 9 p.m. and no one should be exempted. In fact, he said, I'm Wishimiwa. Therefore, we must follow the health protocols. We can't be leaders, Madam Speaker, we can't be leaders and breaking the same rules. Which leadership are we showing the country? Madam Speaker, if it reaches 9, the curfew starts, we must go home. That is my concern, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators, order. Honorable Senators, I have 15 members who want to contribute to this motion. That is their right. I have, again, 6 new members who want to do points of order. This is our house of order. Tomorrow is another day. I don't want us to really abuse the process of this house. Let us respect the process of the house. Let us allow those who have points of order, because if you give your point of order and then you want us to skip another member, it is not fair. I only managed to propose the question, and the first member was interrupted with. So nobody has even contributed towards that motion. It's only the mover and the seconder. So I want to have a feel of what the point of orders are coming from. Matsayo, Stewart, Mwachiro, and then I'll come back. I'll come.
Asante Mr. Speaker. Asante Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, nasema ya kwamba sisi nakusikia Kang'ata. Mr. Speaker, nitetee Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, nataka kusema ya kwamba sisi tukiwa watumishi wa kaunti zetu ambazo wametuleta hapa kwa kikazi, hatukuja hapa kama watu ambao hawako kazini. Tuko kazini, sisi ni wale wafanyikazi maalum, essential workers. Kwa hiyo mimi nasema ya kwamba Mr. Speaker, hoja hii ni hoja ya nidhamu. Ni muhimu wewe Mr. Speaker uongeze wakati wa sisi kujadiliana mjadala huu ambao ni muhimu sana katika maisha ya Kenya.
Point taken.
Asante.
Point taken, Senator Murkomen, on a point of order.
Madam Speaker, the issue before you, to me, is very simple. There is a motion that was passed by this House after proposed by Senator George Kaniri. It was passed that the Senate will only adjourn if the business in the order paper is completed. If any person, let me just conclude. If any person is desirous of cutting the time of debate, they know the standing orders that will go. If any person is questioning the legal framework that governs our stay here, it's the standing orders that govern. And I want to say this, Madam Speaker. Let us not, because we are losing a debate, let us not try to cut short the procedures of this House, because today, like I have been, you are either on this side today or the other this side. So stick with the standing orders.
Senator Murkomen, please, don't go that direction. Senator Kiika Susan.
Madam Speaker, I am quite, on a point of order, I'm quite surprised that the previous senators who are talking about our standing orders taking precedent as to how long we can stay here, while we are all very aware that the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, directed that not even waheshimiwas are above the law. So at 9 o'clock, Madam Speaker, the Senate needs to shut down. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day.
The The last point of order is from Alake Abshiro. Then I will rule.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I don't know what this debate is about, Madam Speaker. If lateness is what we're talking about, we're already late. So, Madam Speaker, and Madam Speaker, as well, what we have said is this. The orders that are imposing on us the 9 o'clock curfew is actually, Madam Speaker, we're already late. I think this House should complete what it's supposed to be doing today, and I think the issue has been overtaken by events, and therefore, let's continue. Do not run away because you're sensing defeat.
Honorable Senators, I'm going to make a ruling. Honorable Senators, I thought we had become very orderly and very serious and the country is watching. Can you take a seat? Senator Mugeni and Senator Kachwam? Senator Mo, yes. Senator... Honorable Senator, yes. Senator, come and take a seat. Honorable Senators, this is a discussion that has been with us for a very long time. This is a discussion that has come, is it 6 times, as a member said, and it has been thrown out. You cannot blame anybody except the senators themselves. So we need to blame ourselves first, instead of creating a crisis out of a situation that we could have saved. I want to appeal to you, senators. The number of senators I have here who want to contribute to this motion are 12 now. The amendment that we made, the first amendment that we had, we allowed 3 hours. We were extremely fair to Kangata's amendment. It would be extremely unfair not to give the amendment of Sakaja the right time. So we need another 3 hours. So that is number one. I have ignored the 6 points of order. Honorable Senators, are we going to be the Senate that does not obey the laws of the land? I am asking you this. Senators, order senators, order senators, order senators, senators, order, order, order. Honorable senators, allow me to make the ruling. Why are you telling me to put the question before I even make the ruling? The only member who almost started contributing was interfered with points of order. And he was not able even to contribute. We don't even know who is supporting and who is not supporting. The importance of debate, senators, the importance of debate is even to sway the minds of people, those who are on the borderline. So you cannot, we cannot, senators, we cannot, and I'll tell you this one standing here, we cannot purport to be fair to Sakaja's motion when we gave Kangata 3 hours and we are giving Sakaja 1 minute. Honorable senators, This motion is in the House, so it is not him who is supposed to complain or not to complain. It's us. This is our property. Honorable Senators, going by what Senator Susan Giga and a few others have said, it is now 9:05. It is